Hello guys, welcome back to TechDose, and in this video we will look at minimum number of k-divisible components problem, which is from Leetcode number 2872. And let's now read the problem statement. In this problem there is an undirected tree with n nodes labeled from 0 to n-1. You are given the integer n and a 2D integer array edges of length n-1, where edges at I is ai, bi indicates that there is an edge between the nodes ai and bi in the tree. You are also given a zero-indexed integer array values of length n, where values at I is the value associated with the ith node and an integer k. A valid split of the tree is obtained by removing any set of edges, possibly empty, from the tree such that the resulting components all have values that are divisible by k, where the value of a connected component is the sum of the values of its nodes. Return the maximum number of components in any valid split. Now let's look at the constraint before we look at the example. Now in this particular case, the total number of nodes can be 3 times of 10 to the power of 4, and that is why if you write an n square algorithm, then your runtime will be 9 times of 10 to the power of 8, which is greater than 10 to the power 8 computation, so it will not run within 1 second. So you need to be careful about it. So we need an algorithm better than n square. The number of edges is n-1 because it is a tree with n number of vertices. And each of the edges ai, bi is of size 2, saying that there is an edge between ai and bi. Each of these vertices value ranges from 0 to n-1, and the values length, that means the number of vertices are n. Each of the values associated with the node will be in the range of 0 to 10 to the power of 9. That means all of them are integer. So if you are trying to calculate the sum value for 3 times of 10 to the power 4 nodes, and each of the value can go to 10 to the power of 9, then approximately you will find some value of, let's say, 10 to the power of 13 and more than that. So you cannot hold it in 32-bit integer if you are not careful, so you may have to take a 64-bit integer for the sum. The k value is within the integer range again, and the sum of the values is divisible by k. This is already mentioned, and the input is generated such that the edges represents a valid tree. Fine. Now let's look at an example for better understanding. In this case, we are given an undirected tree, and our goal is to split the tree into the maximum number of components, where each of the components sum must be divisible by k, right? So let's see the constraint. The sum of the values array which is given, which must be divisible by k. It is already mentioned, it is divisible by k. Okay, so if you add up all these values, what does this index 2 having value 4 means? This means that the node 2 has actual value of 4. Okay, so if you add this up, it will always be divisible by k. That is already mentioned in the problem. Now the number of edges is equals to vertices minus 1, because this is a valid tree, and each component must be divisible by k after removing the edges and after finding out the maximum components after split. Okay, you can imagine that if you try to solve it with the simplest of approaches, then each of the edge will have two choices. Whether the edge can be removed, so that if you remove an edge, then it will create two components. Like if you remove this edge, then it will create one component as this one, and this will be the second component, isn't it? So we have to decide between the choices, right? Which choice is better? Now if I remove this, let's say if I remove this edge between this 0 and 3, then you have a component, and this component sum must be divisible by k. K here is 3. So what is the value at 3? It is 1. Is this 1 divisible by 3? No. So I cannot actually remove this edge between 0 and 3, right? So this is not possible. Now I will look for the other option. Now let's find out if we can remove this edge between 1 and 4. So if you think about it, then this component having just node 4 has a value 4, which is not divisible by 3, and therefore I cannot remove this edge 1, 4. Okay, so you can try these two options for each of the edges, and you may end up doing an exponential algorithm using simple recursion, and if you optimize it with dynamic programming, you may end up with an n square approach, but these approaches are overkill for this particular problem. Now for this example, if I remove this edge between this 0 and 1, then it will create two components having 1, 4, 2 on one side and 0, 3 on the other side, where the sum on the left side 1, 2, 4 is 1 plus 4, that is 5 plus 4, 9. So here the sum is 9, and if you take mod of 3, it will be 0. And on the other side it is 8 plus 1, because it has nodes 0 and 3, right? So 8 plus 1 is 9, and again 9 mod 3 will be 0. So both the components are divisible by 3, and you cannot actually remove any more edges after that. You can just try it out. Can you remove this edge? No, you cannot remove this edge because 2's value is 4, which is not divisible by 3, right? So whenever you remove an edge, both the sides must be divisible by the k value, and if it is possible, then we will divide. If not possible, then we will not divide. So in this case, we got 2 components, therefore the answer will be 2, that we were able to form 2 components, right? So I hope you have understood the problem statement. Now let's understand the intuition for greedy split for this problem solving. Now in this particular case, let's consider an example that we have a rod of length 5k. So I have marked the left extreme with 0 and the right extreme as 5k. We have 3 options. The first option says that we will not be splitting it anywhere. The second option says that we will be splitting at 2k. And the third option says that we will be splitting at 1k and 3k. Now the problem is about find out the maximum number of splits that you can make in such a way that each of the split must be divisible by k. Okay, each of the split must be divisible by k. If you don't divide, then you just have 1 component. If you divide it 1 time, you have 2 component, and if you divide it 2 times, you have 3 component. So doesn't it make sense that I will be trying to divide it the maximum number of times I can, right? So greedily we will always be trying to divide the maximum times we can. Now if I am moving from left to right, and if I am at this 1k, and if I have to decide that okay, if I am at 1k, then definitely from 0 to 1k it must be divisible by k, right? I mean 1k or I times k will always be divisible by k. So if this is divisible by k, how can I be sure about the rest part? That means in the future, will the rest of the items be divisible by k? So if you think about it logically, then if you have a rod of length nk, then if you divide at I times of k, then the left side must be divisible by k because this k is in the multiplication factor, while in the other side, what is this value? It will be nk minus ik. So you can take k as common and you can say that n minus I times of k. So again, there is a multiple k. Therefore this part, the other part, must always be divisible by k. So whenever you divide a rod or anything like any array or whatever you want, if you divide it into one part in such a way that the initial array or the initial rod was divisible by k, and if one side is divisible by k, let's say it is ik, then the other side will always be divisible by k. Fine. So if you have understood this, then you can easily solve this problem. So there were 2 things that we have understood here. The first thing is whenever it is possible to divide, I will always try to make a component when possible, so that I will get the maximum count of component. The second thing is if I am dividing at a point, then I just have to keep a sum for the left side. If the sum on the left side is divisible by k, since I already know that the entire array is divisible by k, therefore the right side will always be divisible by k. Okay. So this is the main crux of the problem, and once you have understood this, let's see a dry run using a simple DFS approach. Now in this particular undirected tree, I have already created an adjacency list. Now in an undirected tree or undirected graph, you know that if there is an edge between 0, 1, then 1 will be adjacent to 0 as well as 0 will be adjacent to 1, right? So once you have formed the adjacency list and you have the associated values, now we can just keep track of the sum value at each node. So let's say I will start the DFS from 0. Now in an undirected tree, there is no root node. So you can start at any point and you will still be able to solve it. It is a concept of graph, right? So I'm just starting at 0, but you can always start at any point. If I start at 0, initially my sum value will be whatever is the value at 0, which is 3. Okay, and I will try to get the left sum. Now let's make the left call. So when I make the left call, I'll be going to this one. What is the sum value here? The sum value at this one is 6. So I'll assign 6 here. Let's go to the left hand side. Here the sum value assigned will be equals to, you can see here it will be 1. Now if you look at the adjacency list of 2, you just have 1 as an adjacent item, but since 1 made a call to 2, you cannot call this 1 back, otherwise you will fall into an infinite loop. You should never call your caller. Okay, your neighbor must never be your parent, that means the caller. So we do not have anybody as adjacent. Now what is the sum value here? It is 1. Is this 1 divisible by k? Let's take the k value to be 3. Is this 1 divisible by 3? No, it is not. So I cannot create these two in a separate component. And what this will be returning? This will be returning the sum value. So this will return 1. Now, if you have this 1 here, then it got 1 from the left call. So it will be adding 1 to the sum and it will become 7. Now it will make the right call. At this 3, what is the sum value here? So the sum value at 3 is 2. So a sum variable will be assigned with a value 2. Now in the adjacency list of 3, there is only 1, but 1 is the caller of 3, so you cannot make any other call. Now you check if the sum is divisible by k, then I can split it into a separate component, but it is not. Therefore I cannot split it in separate component, and this will be returning the sum value 2. So this 1 is getting 2 from the other side, so this has sum 9, right? Now when this has sum 9 here, then you can check out that now this 9 is divisible by 3, isn't it? So if this 9 is divisible by 3, then I can split this edge and I can make it as a separate component. So I will keep a component counter, which will be initially 0. And as soon as this sum is divisible by the k value, I will increment the counter simply. Now this can return the sum 9, or what we can do is we can return 9 mod 3. Oh, I don't have to return 9. I can return 9 mod 3, because if I use the mod operation, then this will avoid the integer overflow problem, and I can simply solve it by the 32-bit integer. But if you don't take the mod, then it will not avoid the integer overflow. So I'll always take the mod, and let's say I will be returning 9 mod 3, which is 0. So this 0 actually had some value 3. Initially its value is 3, and it got 0 from the left side because a split was created here, right? Now it will make the right call to 4. Now the sum variable assigned at 4 will be 0 because the value is 0, and it will make a call to the left side. Here the sum value assigned at 5 will be 5. And now from 5 there is nobody adjacent, only 4 was adjacent if you look. But then 4 is the caller, so I cannot make the call. Now you have to check if this 5 mod of 3 is 0. No. So we cannot create a split here. It is not possible. So I'll be sending back the sum of 5. Now I'll be making the right call to 6. Okay, now at this 6, the sum will be initialized with a value of 1. Now it also do not have anybody adjacent except for 4, who is the caller. So I have to check if this sum value mod of k is 0. No, it is not 0. So this will be returning a value 1. So at this point of 4, it had 0 sum, and then it got 5 from the left side and 1 from the right side. So its sum became 6. Now at this point, you have to check if this sum mod of k is 0, and yes, it is 0. That means we can have a split here. So what we do is, whenever the sum mod of k is 0, I will increment the counter, saying that a new component can be created here, right? And what we have to return? We have to return either 6. You can return 6, or you can return 6 mod of 3. You can take mod everywhere. Even while returning this 5, you can take 5 mod of 3 and it will always be correct, right? Because we have to make the remainder come to be equals to k. Okay, that will always work. So you can return 6 or 0. So I will return 0, let's say. Fine. So this got 0 from the right side. So the total sum here is equals to 3. And if you find out the sum mod of k, it is 0. Therefore I will increment the counter and it becomes 3. And again, this will return a value 0. 3 mod of 3, right? So this is the entire DFS operation. We are simply keeping track of the sum value, and whenever the sum value mod of k is 0, then I will be incrementing the counter, saying that I can form a new component at this particular point. Okay, so 3 is the answer for our entire problem. I hope you were able to understand this. In this case, we are traversing a node no more than 3 times. So therefore, the time complexity will be order of n, and the tree can be a skewed tree. So the recursion will have recursion call stack space, and that is why the space complexity is also order of n. Now let's look at the code. If you are someone who is looking to prepare for top product based company within a limited time of just 3 months, then we have brought for you both the DSA and the system design live interview training program. The most important feature of this program is you get a filtered and condensed structured curriculum, in-depth discussion of all the topics, and my guarantee of your understanding, one-on-one guidance with me, and live weekend classes. To know more about the training, you can WhatsApp us on this given number. In this particular problem, we are given the number of vertices, the edge list, and the values associated with each of the nodes, and the k value. Now I will be forming the adjacency list. Okay, so this is an undirected tree. So accordingly, if 0 is adjacent to 1, then 1 will also be adjacent to 0. So that is why I'm adding it 2 times. I'll take a counter equals to 0 and I'll make a DFS call, and I will pass the counter by reference, so that I will always do count plus plus. And in the DFS call, we have already seen in the dry run that it will keep on updating the count value whenever the sum mod of k is 0, right? It will always increment the value, and finally we will return the counter. In the DFS, whenever I am at a node, I will be assigning the sum value using the long 64-bit integer, and I'll be traversing to each of the neighbor if the neighbor is not equals to the caller, which is the parent. Okay, and I will be always adding the sum, which is the return value. Now once I am done adding all the values, I'll always calculate sum mod of k. So if the sum value at a node was, let's say, 5 and the k value was 3, then the sum mod of k will be 2. So I'm always taking the remainder. So here the sum is converted to remainder. Now if the remainder is 0, then the counter can be increased, saying that this component is divisible by k. But if the remainder is greater than 0, then simply return the remainder. Okay, in our dry run, if you look, then at many places we were not returning the remainder. Like for this 5, we were not returning the remainder, but either you return 5 or you return 5 mod of 3, which is 2. They will both have the same effect, because we are trying to check for divisibility, right? So it does not matter whether you return 2k plus 1 or you return k plus 1 or you return 1. Everyone has one remainder, right? So according to remainder theorem, it is always correct. Now I hope you were able to understand this. If you still have any doubt, then feel free to comment below and I'll try to help you as soon as possible. Like and share our video and subscribe to our channel in order to watch more of these programming videos. See you guys in the next video. Thank you.